You have probably been told your entire life that people who struggle with money simply lack discipline. But Nobel Prize-winning research proves that is completely wrong. Two researchers named Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky discovered something in the 1970s that would eventually win a Nobel Prize in economics. They found that the human brain feels the pain of losing money roughly twice as intensely as it feels the pleasure of gaining the exact same amount, which means your brain is not broken and it is not lazy. It is simply running ancient survival wiring that was never designed for 401k accounts, credit cards, or the stock market. By the end of this video, I am going to show you the exact real-world experiment that proved you can override this wiring without willpower, without discipline, and without ever fighting your own brain. A strategy so effective, it nearly quadrupled the savings rate of the ordinary Americans who used it. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly why your brain resists saving money, even when you know it is the right decision. You will learn the specific psychological biases that quietly sabotage financial decisions for even the smartest, most disciplined people. And you will see the real, published experiment that used the same wiring to help ordinary employees save nearly 4 times more money without requiring a single ounce of extra willpower. Let me show you exactly how this played out inside a real American company, because the story genuinely surprised even the researchers who ran it. Picture a group of ordinary employees at an American manufacturing company in the late 1990s. Most of them fully aware they should be saving more for retirement, yet contributing only around 3.5% of their paycheck into their 401k, no matter how many pamphlets, seminars, or reminders their employer sent them. An economist named Richard Thaler, working alongside researcher Shlomo Benartzi, designed a program called Save More Tomorrow, which did something remarkably simple. Instead of asking employees to cut their spending today, which their brains instinctively resisted, it asked them to commit in advance to increasing their savings rate only when they received their next future pay raise. Within just 3.5 years, the average savings rate among employees who joined this program climbed from 3.5% all the way up to 13.6%. According to Thaler and Benartzi's own published research, and growing up outside America, this was the moment I personally realized that fixing money problems was never really about trying harder. It was about understanding how the brain actually works. Bias 1, loss aversion. The first piece of wiring working against you is loss aversion. And the easiest way to understand it is imagining someone offering you a coin flip, where you could win $100 or lose $100. Even though the odds are perfectly even, most people instinctively reject that bet, because losing the $100 simply hurts more than winning it. Feels good. This is precisely why so many Americans pulled their retirement savings out of the stock market during downturns like 2008, even though historically the market has always recovered. The temporary loss on the screen felt so emotionally unbearable that people made permanent, irreversible decisions purely to escape that short-term pain. The practical way to rewire this is to simply remove yourself from the decision entirely by automating your contributions into your retirement account. Because when the money moves, before you ever see it or feel tempted to react to it, loss aversion never gets the chance to take control of your decision-making. But here is what most people completely miss about this bias 2, present bias. The second piece of wiring is called present bias, or hyperbolic discounting, which simply means your brain values a reward available right now far more than it values a larger reward available only in the distant future, even when the math clearly favors waiting. This bias explains why someone can fully understand that investing $200 a month starting today will likely be worth far more at retirement than starting 5 years from now. And yet, they still choose to spend that same $200 on something immediate, because the future version of themselves simply does not feel emotionally real to their brain in this present moment. The actionable fix here is what behavioral economists call a commitment device. Setting up automatic transfers into an individual retirement account or 401k the moment your paycheck arrives, so your present self never actually gets the chance to decide whether to spend that money. because the decision was already made in advance. Now, this is where it gets genuinely interesting. Bias 3, the scarcity mindset. The third piece of wiring comes from research by Senthil Mullainathan and Eldar Shafir, who studied how financial stress itself changes the way the brain processes decisions. And their findings were genuinely startling for anyone who assumes poor financial choices simply come down to poor character. Their research found that financial scarcity consumes so much mental bandwidth that it can temporarily reduce a person's available cognitive function by an amount comparable to losing an entire night of sleep, which means someone under serious money stress is not thinking clearly by choice. Their brain is simply overloaded trying to manage constant financial pressure. The way to work with this instead of against it is to radically simplify your financial system. Fewer accounts, fewer credit cards, and one simple automated plan. Because every financial decision you remove from your daily mental load frees up bandwidth your brain can use to make better choices elsewhere. Let me take this one step further, because the next part changes everything. Bias 4, anchoring. Bias. The fourth piece of wiring is anchoring bias, which means your brain latches onto the very first number it sees and uses that number as a reference point for every future judgment, even when that original number was arbitrary or no longer relevant. This shows up constantly in lifestyle inflation, where someone who received a starting salary early in their career unconsciously anchors their entire sense of normal spending to that original number, and then struggles to increase their savings rate even after receiving multiple raises, because their spending habits quietly climbed right alongside their income the entire time. The actionable step here is to anchor your savings decisions to a percentage of your income rather than a fixed dollar amount, and to increase that percentage automatically every time you receive a raise, before your lifestyle has the chance to quietly absorb the extra money first. Here is the piece that nobody talks about. Bias 5, status quo. Bias, the fifth and final piece of wiring, is status quo bias, meaning your brain strongly prefers to keep things exactly as they already are, simply because change itself requires effort and feels uncertain, even when the change would clearly benefit you. This is precisely the bias that Richard Thaler and Shlomo Benartzi exploited, in the most helpful sense of that word, when they designed automatic enrollment and automatic escalation features for 401k plans. Because once someone is automatically enrolled by default, the same status quo bias that once kept them from saving now keeps them from opting out. The American financial system has increasingly built these automatic features directly into workplace retirement plans. And this is something most people outside the United States have never heard of, because in many countries, retirement saving still depends entirely on individual willpower, rather than a system quietly designed around how human psychology actually works. This is the moment where most people's understanding of money changes completely, because every single one of these 5 biases points toward the exact same solution. Quick recap. Loss aversion makes downturns feel unbearable. Present bias favors spending today over saving for tomorrow. Scarcity drains your mental bandwidth. Anchoring locks your spending to outdated numbers. And status quo bias keeps bad habits in place. Now let me show you exactly how one program used all 5 of these to nearly quadruple people's savings rate. Remember the Save More Tomorrow program from the beginning of this video, the one that took ordinary employees from saving 3.5% of their paycheck all the way up to 13 0.6% within just a few years. Here is what actually made that program work. And it is not what most people expect. Thaler and Benartzi never once asked employees to rely on extra willpower or discipline. Instead, they engineered the program around the exact 5 biases we just covered. Timing increases to future raises, so present bias never had to be fought directly. Using automatic enrollment, so status quo bias worked in the employee's favor instead of against them. And removing the moment-to-moment decision entirely, so loss aversion, anchoring, and scarcity, never got the chance to interfere. That is the real rewiring. Not forcing your brain to override millions of years of evolutionary wiring through sheer force of will, but instead designing your financial environment so that your natural wiring quietly works in your favor instead of against you, the same way it did for the employees in that program, and the same way it can work for your own 401k or individual retirement account, starting with your very next paycheck. Your brain was never broken, and it was never lazy. It was simply built for a world that existed long before paychecks, credit cards, and retirement accounts. And the moment you stop fighting that wiring and start designing around it, saving money stops feeling like a battle and starts happening almost automatically. If this video changed how you think about your own money habits, send it to the one person in your life who keeps blaming themselves for not having enough willpower. They need to hear that the problem was never their character. Next video, I am breaking down the real reason so many Americans with high incomes still live paycheck to paycheck, and the surprisingly simple psychological trap behind it. Stick around for that one.